Dante, Boxing Nation.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So before we get into the main topic of discussion, I wanted to make this point very clear. The burden of proof is on you guys that say Lomachenko was robbed. For those of you guys who are debating with people on the internet, you're debating with your friends, you got someone who's extremely irate, and they're making this decision very personal. I want all of you guys to ask them this question. What rounds did you give Lomachenko, and how many? I can guarantee you their answer will not logically add up. And I'm going to explain why in this video. Obviously, because the racial tension is so high, fans are getting extremely emotional to the point that they're really not talking boxing anymore. Prime example, the last video that I made where I talked about the Haney versus Lomachenko fight, there were, of course, some people in the comment section that were using the typical talking points, saying that Lomachenko won, and then they started taking personal shots at anyone that would imply that Haney won the fight. So what I did was, I asked about 10 guys in the comment section, only the ones that were extremely emotional, and you could tell that they were taking this more personal, that this was more than just boxing for them. So I asked all 10 of them, I said, which rounds did you give Lomachenko, and how many rounds did you give him? 7 out of the 10, they never responded to me. There were 3 that actually responded. The first person, he responded by saying that he had the fight even all the way up to the 8th round. Matter of fact, I'm gonna put his comment up on the screen right now. As you guys could see, the comment on the top, that was his original post. And as you guys could see in the second post, he's responding to me. He says, to round 8, I had them about even. Around round 9, 10, 11, I give to Lomachenko, especially round 10 and 11. I think round 12, Devin Haney won it. Again, my perspective, I don't hate Devin or anything. I just think Loma won. First of all I did was ask him, which rounds did you give Lomachenko, and how many rounds did you give Lomachenko? Once he starts saying things like, oh, by the way, I don't hate Devin Haney, I just think Loma won. You don't have to volunteer that information if you truly feel that this has nothing to do with how you personally feel about Loma or Devin Haney. We're here talking about boxing. I'm asking you to give us your analytical breakdown of how the fight played out if you're going to say that Devin Haney lost hands down. When you volunteer that kind of information, it actually comes off as more disingenuous. It looks like there's some type of guilt there. But I want you guys to notice, he really didn't answer my question. I asked him, which rounds did you give Lomachenko and how many? When it comes to the first 8, he didn't reveal which rounds he felt Lomachenko won because he could not pick a single round that he felt Lomachenko definitely won. If you notice, every person who says that this was a robbery, the only rounds they point out that they feel Lomachenko definitely won was rounds 10 and 11. If this guy who just said the first 8 rounds were pretty much even and didn't specify on which rounds he thought Lomachenko won, that means he's saying that all 8 of those rounds were swing rounds and could have went either way, which means you could have had Lomachenko winning all of those 8 rounds, or you could have had Devin Haney winning all of those 8 rounds. Remember, guys, the burden of proof is on the people who say this is a robbery. The burden of proof is not on the people that say, I thought Devin Haney won, but it was a close fight. Or the people that say it wasn't a robbery. This was just a good competitive fight. It could have went either way. Okay, so the next guy I asked in my comment section, he responded to me by saying the first 6 rounds were very hard to score. But I want to put up his entire comment. This is what he originally said that I responded to. He starts off basically implying that Lomachenko was just beating the shit out of Devin Haney. And then he starts to deflect, talking about everything else, making excuses for Lomachenko being a natural 126-pounder, etc., which I'm going to completely shut down in a minute. Then just like the other guy, he volunteers this information at the end. He said, and this by no means is me being racist because top guy is Tank. Guys, I completely understand psychology, and I can tell you this. If you know you're not a racist, then you shouldn't have to voluntarily convince people that you're not. I mean, it's like saying, I have a whole bunch of black friends. My favorite fighter is Mike Tyson, Ali, and even Joe Louis. Oh yeah, and I also have a black brother-in-law. That's gotta be worth some serious points. Listen, man, These race fans ain't fooling nobody. They really think all I have to say is Tank is the best guy at 135, and there's no way they can say that I'm racist. The three best fighters at the lightweight division are black. So you would have to say that one of them are the best. That's like telling somebody you're not a racist because you believe Michael Jordan is the best basketball player of all time. Hell, I can tell you right now, Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez is the best fighter at 112. What does that prove? Not a damn thing. The majority of non-black fans, they hate Gervonta Tank Davis just as much as they hate Devin Haney. Because when it comes to Gervonta, there's a chance of their favorite fighter getting completely knocked out by Gervonta, which is the last thing a race fan wants to see. Which is the reason why all of these fans that keep saying that Lomachenko won the fight, notice they never say they now want to see Lomachenko versus Gervonta Tank Davis. Well, if you truly believe that Loma won this fight, that should be the only fight you should be talking about if we're not going to see a rematch, right? But notice they always say Lomachenko, he won this fight, and then they start talking about Devin Haney versus Tank. Devin Haney, he's about to get smoked by Tank. You're supposed to be pushing Lomachenko versus Davis. They're not pushing for that fight. Just like the guy who just said, hey, by the way, guys, I'm not a racist because I think Tank is the best. I can guarantee you that same person, he has never said, I want to see Lomachenko versus Tank. If you got one or two eyes and you watch boxing on a regular, then you're already going to know that the three best fighters in the lightweight division happen to all be black. The three kings. Now, I truly believe that Lomachenko, he could be put in the top 4. But like I said, you fans don't want to really see Lomachenko against Gervonta Tank Davis. You guys would rather see Devin Haney versus Davis. You guys would rather see Shakur versus Davis. We know what time it is. So getting back to my question that I asked all these guys in my comment section, this is how the second guy, he answered the question. He said 1 to 6 were close rounds and hard to score, but most definitely not how people make it seem like Haney swept 1 to 6. This guy just said that rounds 1 to 6 were way too close, way too hard to score. That means he's admitting that all of the first 6 rounds were swing rounds. They could have went either way. So remember, guys, that's 2 people already that never answered the question when I said, tell me which rounds you believe Lomachenko won and how many. Neither one of them answered that question so far. Now let's move on to the third guy. Now the third guy, he actually gave me the rounds that he says he believes Lomachenko won. And this is what I was waiting for. I was really curious to see which rounds one of these fans would say they thought Lomachenko won. Because I enjoy watching this fight every day. Every day I go to the gym, and at the beginning of my workout, when I'm on a treadmill, I'll watch like maybe 20 or 30 minutes of it. Sometimes I'll watch the first half. Sometimes I'll watch the second half. Sometimes I'll just skip around and just look at rounds. So I'm starting to know these rounds pretty well, which is why I was really interested in seeing which rounds would someone give Lomachenko. And I mean rounds that they felt he won hands down. Now listen, before I even show you the rounds that he picked, I'll tell you guys right now, it is impossible to show anybody 7 rounds out of this fight that Lomachenko won hands down. You cannot show anybody 7 rounds. You can't pull out your phone and start watching a fight with someone you're debating with and show them 7 rounds that Lomachenko won hands down that could not have gone either way. It's impossible. That's why, once again, the burden of proof is on the person who says this fight is a robbery. So this third guy right here, he only gave Devin Haney 4 rounds out of the fight. He gave Devin Haney rounds 1, 4, 6, and 9. Even Lomachenko doesn't agree with his scorecard because Lomachenko admitted that he completely lost the 12th round. What you will notice with this guy's scorecard is not only does it contradict Lomachenko's scorecard, but it also contradicts the first 2 people's scorecards that I just read for you guys, or at least how they seen the fight. All 3 of them would tell you that only Lomachenko could have won this fight. But yet, one guy says the first 6 rounds were too hard to score, which proves this guy who had the fight scored 8 rounds to 4, and he gave Lomachenko rounds 3 and 5 in the first 6, those were swing rounds. According to the other people that say Lomachenko won this fight. The only thing that all of these fans that say Lomachenko was robbed agree with, and they're all on the same page, is that they believe Lomachenko won 2 rounds out of the whole 12 for sure. That is round 10 and 11. Now, I've been telling you guys this for years, and we already know for a fact, America is the only country in the sport of boxing that will root against their own country based on the race of the countryman. And since Black Americans have always dominated the sport of boxing in this country, 9 times out of 10, when it comes to the most significant fights involving an American, he's going to be Black. It was proven on the night that Devin Haney fought Lomachenko. It was proven on the night that Andre Ward, an American gold medalist, fought against a known racist from Russia, Sergey Kovalev. It was proven when Deontay Wilder fought Tyson Fury. It was proven when Aaron Pryor fought against Alexis Arguello. It was proven when Tommy Hitman Hearns fought Roberto Duran in Las Vegas, and he was completely showered with booze on his way to the ring. You guys can go watch these fights. They're all on YouTube right now. So the point that I'm making is at least 99% of the non-Black boxing fans, they were rooting against the American Devin Haney. They were rooting for the Ukrainian fighter, Vasily Lomachenko. So why would it surprise anyone that these same fans that booed Devin Haney and were rooting against him in a close competitive fight all say the American lost? And the ironic thing is the only time you will see any of these non-Black fans showing any support towards a Black person is if the Black person is agreeing with them that the non-Black fighter won the fight. Case in point, Shakur Stevenson jumping in the ring and saying that Lomachenko should be undisputed. But as soon as Shakur Stevenson gets in the ring with a Lomachenko or someone else is not Black, he's going to get booed the same way he got booed when he fought against Oscar Valdez. It's comical when these same race fans, they try to use a Black person like Shakur Stevenson as their weapon to justify why Lomachenko won this fight. Well, the Black guy, Shakur Stevenson, he said it. Well, Shakur Stevenson, he also said this.
I can't stand Stevenson. Damn, man. Yo, this world so backwards, man. So backwards. They hate Black people. I go 12 rounds with a fighter. Oh, he's so boring. Lomachenko go 12 rounds with somebody. Oh, he's the Matrix. The Matrix. I never seen nothing like him. Crazy.
So do any of you non-Black fans agree with that? Shakur Stevenson had your back. Now, do you guys have his when he talks about this? We know what time it is. It's kind of crazy how it works, because what you just heard Shakur Stevenson say right there is the exact reason why he jumped in the ring, and he went out of his way to say not only did Lomachenko win the fight, but he should be undisputed. So it's not that much of a surprise that you're going to have a sprinkle of Black people that are agreeing with the vast majority of the audience. Because when you have thousands of non-Black American Lomachenko fans, you're obviously going to be completely in the minority if you are to tell all of these people, well, I think Devin Haney won the fight. It's the popular narrative and peer pressure. Those fans in that arena, they didn't want to hear anyone say that Devin Haney won the fight. The only thing they wanted to hear was Lomachenko won, and it was no way that the Black guy could have won. That's going to make some people uncomfortable to go against the popular narrative. So it's not surprising at all that you have some Black people saying, I thought Lomachenko won the fight. It's no different than when you hear the majority of fans say the only reason Canelo lost to Mayweather is because he was too young. He was too inexperienced. That spreads like wildfire. And then you'll have some Black people repeating those talking points. Oh, he was just too young, man. You know what they say, he was just too young. Even though Devin Haney and Lomachenko were almost the exact same age as Floyd Mayweather and Canelo Alvarez. Lomachenko was 35 and Devin Haney is 24. But even with that information provided, you will still hear people saying today, you will even get a couple Black people saying today that, oh, he was just too young. Obviously not because it's true, but because it is the popular narrative. It's what people want to hear and what people want to say. It is therapeutic. It makes them feel better about the loss that Canelo suffered. Just like the popular narrative makes them feel better about the loss that Lomachenko just suffered. But like I told you guys, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how many people say Lomachenko won this fight. Ask all of them, which rounds did you give Lomachenko and how many? I can guarantee you all of them are going to give you a different answer, which tells you the entire story. So Lomachenko, he just did a recent interview with Elie Seckbach where Elie starts off the interview telling Lomachenko, I have you on my pound for pound list. I don't even have Devin Haney on there. But if you know Elie's history, that's not a surprise because Elie is also the same guy who said Canelo Alvarez was #1 pound for pound, the best fighter in the world right after he lost to Bivol, over fighters like Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence, and of course the man that he had just lost to. For the record, guys, there has never been a time where a fighter was considered pound for pound the best fighter in the world and just suffered a decisive loss and was still considered the #1 best fighter in the whole wide world without avenging that loss. Elie, he also went on a rant showing his disdain for Black Lives Matter. He couldn't stand Black Lives Matter. He started to say all lives matter. And then he even went so far as to saying that black people should just be happy that they get to live here in America because you have a lot of people in third world countries that wish they lived in America. That was him telling black people how we should feel about not receiving justice when it comes to unarmed kids getting shot and killed by the police or some white supremacist who's not even a police officer. Black people should just be happy that they live in America, is what this man said. See, Elie, he agrees with black people when they're saying that Lomachenko beat Devin Haney. But when black people are fighting against racism, he doesn't side with them at all. In fact, I remember years back, Andre Berto was doing an interview, and it was after one of those horrendous police shootings of a black victim, an unarmed black victim that didn't get any justice. Andre Berto, he started to talk about the police shootings because at the time, this was like the biggest story in America. It's obviously been so many victims, I don't even remember which one it was in particular. And Elie Seckbach was standing right next to me recording, and as soon as Andre Berto started to talk about this, I seen Elie Seckbach for the first time stop recording and just walk away. Elie, he didn't care about it and he didn't want to hear it, which proves his problem was never with Black Lives Matter. It was with black people in general that was addressing racism and stood up for justice. With all the love that black fighters have been showing Elie Seckbach since he's been covering boxing, you would think that Elie would be going out of his way to show his support, but that hasn't been the case. And once again, like all the other race fans, Elie tries to pull this Gervonta Tank Davis card. As long as I tell people that Gervonta Tank Davis is the best lightweight and he'll kick Devin Haney's ass, that will help to disguise who I really am. Even Gervonta Tank Davis supported Black Lives Matter. So you would think there would be some type of sympathizing there, but there's not. But he has all the sympathy in the world when it comes to Vasily Lomachenko. And now when it comes to justice, he believes that there needs to be justice for Lomachenko. This is how this interview played out with Lomachenko. It wasn't really an interview. It was more of Elie Seckbach pouring his heart out to Lomachenko, just like a fan would do at the fight that ran into Lomachenko after the fight. So one last point that I forgot to mention when I was talking about the Andre Berto situation. Andre Berto, he was planning on having all the boxers come together so they could just sit down and talk about what's going on in America when it comes to these police shootings. And let me remind you, Elie, he didn't just walk away because this topic had nothing to do with boxing. Because Elie, he made videos on his boxing channel talking about this topic in particular. The only difference is he was on the opposite side of the Civil War. He was on the other side of history. So once again, Elie, he tells Lomachenko that he doesn't have the youngest undisputed champion on his personal Elie Seckbach pound for pound list. And by the way, Elie has never said anything about the other undisputed champion, Jermell Charlo, so he probably doesn't have him on the list either. There are only 3 undisputed champions in the sport of men's boxing, and coincidentally, 2 of them are black fighters from America, and yet they're not even on a lot of old media's list. So as Elie is constantly trying to make Lomachenko feel better about his loss to Devin Haney, Elie, he eventually brings up the rematch, a possibility of a rematch.
But I gotta ask you this. So, Oscar De La Hoya also had it 8-4. Bernard Hopkins told me there has to be a rematch. No option. Lomachenko, Haney, #2 has to happen.
I think it's never happened. I think it's never happened because...
But it should happen.
It should, but
Yes.
it's never happened because I think they are scared. But no, I'm not think, I'm sure. he's scared. He understands he lose the fight. His father understand what happened. He understand you and all people saw what he say after 9 rounds in the corner.
He said he figured me out. He knows what I'm gonna do before I'm gonna do, which you do to people. That's what Lomachenko does.
Absolutely, and there are a lot of people talking about 12 rounds, but I lose this round. But I don't need to win this round. I understand. I take this fight. I won a lot of rounds, and I just keep it, and I just score.
Okay, so in this interview, Eli Setback, he had told Lomachenko that many people said that he won the fight. And then you heard him. He said that Oscar De La Hoya, he had you winning 8 rounds to 4. Once again, guys, I want you to challenge anyone that claims that Lomachenko won 7 or even 8 rounds that could not have gone the other way, could not have gone to Devin Haney. It is absolutely impossible. You hear Lomachenko say to Devin Haney he's not going to take a rematch. He's scared to take the rematch. Listen to what his father said after round 9. He said they figured us out, etc., etc. But if Lomachenko completely figured out Devin Haney after round 9, why did Devin Haney win the 12th round decisively? Loma tries to say he just gave that round away, but he can't say that because he actually threw more punches in the 12th round than Devin Haney did. The problem was he wasn't landing any of the punches, and the only person that was landing punches in the 12th round was Devin Haney. Even if Lomachenko did figure out Devin Haney in the 9th round or after the 9th round, that was way too late, just like it was too late when he figured out Teofimo Lopez in the later rounds. You were supposed to figure out Devin Haney after the 3rd round. That's usually when the data is really processed. When a special fighter is in there, he's reading all the data, and by the 2nd or 3rd round, he completely takes over the fight. Well, when it comes to special fighters like Floyd Mayweather, of course, he figures them out in the 1st round. Figuring somebody out after the 9th round is nothing to brag about, especially when you're still losing rounds after you figured them out. And I'll tell you guys something else. We keep hearing some of old media saying, how could Moretti score that 10th round for Devin Haney? Man, I've watched this fight every day, and I can tell you the 10th round is even a close round. Now, yeah, you can clearly give it to Lomachenko, but it was a very competitive round, unlike the 11th round, which was Lomachenko's best round of the fight, obviously. But I told you guys before, Loma has never demanded a rematch. I mean, once again, in cases like this, when a fighter feels that he was robbed, the first thing he does when he grabs a microphone is he starts demanding a rematch. Lomachenko has never done that. He didn't do that after the fight. He didn't do that at the post-fight press conference. And in this interview he did with Eli, it's Eli that's telling him. Bernard Hopkins says there has to be a rematch. And Lomachenko just says, I don't think it's going to happen. I've already told you guys, I believe if Lomachenko really wanted this rematch, regardless of what he thinks Devin Haney is going to do, he should make it very clear that that's all he wants is a rematch. And instead, he's saying Devin Haney doesn't want it and Devin Haney is scared. There's no way he's going to take the rematch. You're supposed to push for it regardless. Now, I do believe deep down, Lomachenko, he probably feels that Devin Haney has been at lightweight way too long. He knows that Devin Haney was trying his best. He was draining himself, trying to stay there at 135 to get some of these big fights. And after a competitive fight like that, that may really convince him it's now really time for him to move up to 140. So that might be the reason why Loma is saying he doesn't think he's going to stay there. Not so much, obviously, of Devin being scared, but we all knew this already. We already knew that Devin Haney, he was trying to stay at 135 for as long as he could because he knew all of the biggest fights were there. But with that being said, we can't forget Devin Haney actually finished stronger than Lomachenko did in the 12th round. So that could definitely be an indication that Devin Haney, if he really needs to, he could stay at 135 and do it again. But I'm telling you guys right now, things are about to get really interesting at 135 because Vasily Lomachenko now has some great options. The big option, which is a fight that I don't even think Lomachenko wants to take now, is against Gervonta Tank Davis, right? And then you have, of course, the fighters in his own stable, which is Shakur Stevenson. Now, Loma is the #1 contender and Shakur is the #2 contender. So if Devin Haney moves up, then they would be ordered to fight against each other for a vacant belt. So I believe that Lomachenko is either going to take on Shakur Stevenson or he's going to go the easier route and take on George Kambosos, since George Kambosos just signed with Top Rank. But either way, these are all going to be some great matchups. And when it comes to Devin Haney, we might get another big surprise. Maybe Devin Haney will be fighting Gervonta Tank Davis next. But if that fight is not next, I would like to see, if Devin really is moving up to 140, Devin Haney versus Regis Prograis. That's a phenomenal fight. Regis Prograis is the #1 junior welterweight in a division right now. And man, that would be a hell of a fight. Devin Haney is starting to look like the southpaw assassin with all these southpaws he keeps beating. And if it moves up to 140, that's going to be another southpaw he's going to be fighting against in Regis Prograis. So I'm going to wrap this one up for now, guys. I'm on to the next one. All right, now check this out, guys. If you're looking to repair eczema scars, burns and bruises, dark spots and blemishes, fever blisters, diabetic ulcers, this right here is the perfect product for you guys. It's called LO Deki Face and Body Oil. Athletes and top-ranking boxers, they're also using it after training to reduce swelling, inflammation, and to ease the pain. So get yours today. Go to lodeki.com, like them on Facebook, and follow them on Instagram. Let me tell you guys about Issa Israel Law Firm. It is a full-service legal practice based in Denver, Colorado, an emerging hub for combat sports and high-altitude training. If you're a fighter inside or outside of the ring and you need a law firm you can trust to fight for you, visit thefighterfirm.com or email help@iilawfirm.com. Legal representation is usually limited to plaintiffs or defendants in Colorado, but iFirm can help anyone in the world with trademarking their business name, logos, and U.S. immigration issues. This brother has been my attorney for a while and helped guide me through all kinds of business and civil issues, so make sure you guys go to thefighterfirm.com.